very clear the president is focused, of course, on ensuring the successful transition.
Anyway, going live.
Certainly,
Says it's going live. Hi guys, it's Alan.
Are there any serious discussions?
If you're a TI or a Targ individual or non-consensually just person and you don't have a name for it, but you've been having pains in your chest or your head that doctors can't get to. I went 30 years not having still don't have an official diagnosis, but once the V2K, and for people who don't believe that stuff or that technology or that our country would do that to people, I totally get it. But then after you just came from COVID, 2.5 years from a government that told the people, don't do it. President Obama told them, don't do it. It's too risky, dangerous. They did it anyway, after being told not to do it. Tortures and kills millions. They make a vaccine for it, make billions of dollars, and nobody loses a job. They get praise. Anyway, all this, how much was a real warning, don't do it. Like, how dare, don't do it. Wink, wink. So it's like things are going to plan according to their time scale. They do all this PR to make it look like they have a conscience. They're trying to do the right thing, but behind the doors, all this stuff. We're dealing with people that, whether it's the FBI, and it's a strange thing because the FBI and the federals, they had a guy claiming to be from DARPA, who said 13 out of 15 federal agencies, he was a whistleblower, this guy from DARPA, a Marine, said he worked at DARPA and it was definitely not them, definitely not DARPA that started the whole COVID and the vaccine. This guy allegedly said 13 out of 15 federal agencies could have financially warned people or financially gotten in on the game before it was released into the world. But they did. This is like a year before, like 2018. Anyway, this is what Robert Duncan says in page 282 of Project Soul Catcher. And it says 2025 is when the Air Force claims they will release this information of the technologies and weapons described in this book. Of course, this God will come in a very different form and change the organization of the human race, a new world order. So it's right there on page 282. 2025 is when the Air Force claims they will release the information of the technologies and weapons described in this book, is what he says. 2025 is also, it started from 2013, the BRAIN Initiative under President Obama, till from 2013 to 2025. So again, you got that with the BRAIN Initiative, the findings. And then you have Havana Syndrome, which is these alleged government, I don't want to say they didn't have it because it's real. When you are a TI, you know it's real, but it's a hard thing to prove, whether it's called active denial and people just get, doctors and City Hall just gets paid off to deny its existence. Until there's an official, it's like MK Ultra. They burn the paperwork, don't admit to either until they get caught or until the CIA, okay, now we can release the information. But much like JFK's, that was supposed to be released in 93. Then they said, let's wait till 25 years from now, 2018. And then that president, Trump, didn't release it. And it's like, let's give it a few years. So hopefully with RFK in there now, they will. Hopefully. I got to get this cat. Go get the kitty. So 2025 is a big year. Supposedly, the Air Force is going to release the information. I should ask my Uncle Alan about that because he worked for them. And anyway. Yeah. Uncle Alan. It's weird to think I've gone through this since I was 14. broken arm after a football game, went to the hospital. They fixed my arm, my shoulder. And then steadily within some months to a year, started getting those little shocks. There wasn't a name for it. It wasn't called Havana syndrome. There wasn't 30 years. And after 12 years, my doctors were kind and sent me to a specialist. And I got pain medication. And the whole time, every night, every day, just, Lord, just heal this, please, or a medication or a surgery. Just whatever, let me know what it is. And just, it took 30 years. 30 years. And after going to the hospital, trying to beat goodbye, cruel world, and having learned to walk again, because I fell and landed on my arms, these things, and broke a leg. And, well, it was an ankle. It was an ankle, and I had to wear these shitty things on each arm had one of these, each arm, because when I landed like this and broke my wrists, and then fell and broke the side of and I didn't realize my leg was until they stood me up like the next day, physical therapy, and then I tried to put weight on it. And then it was like, oh, pain, And I didn't, first of all, the people in my small town were very nice, conservative, religious. Literally my entire life. These were good people. I wasn't treated bad by them. I had no enemies. They weren't enemies to, these were good people. And so I kept this thinking to myself, well, I don't want this side pain. Maybe I was stressed studying theology and comparing it to atheism. And like, as an apologist, you just know that you got side pain from your emotion, heart, whatever. And they're good people in your town. So it's the last thing on your mind. You're just looking on the internet, what'll cause it, a surgery, an accident and surgery that causes this, and to where you can't feel much emotion. And it's a continual side pain. And then Havana syndrome hit the news. And then I went to the rally in Portland, Ella Free, Dr. Matt, or, Arnegard, whatever. A lot of the people in this movement, the TI thing, target individual thing, they just have a lot of aliases, different names, maybe for professional reasons, because they don't want a bunch of angry TIs calling them up, and there's a lot of perpetrators, people that work for the feds that claim to be TIs, and it's this whole in chat rooms and disruption, and it could be a huge number, because in 2018, 2019, it was supposed to blow up number wise. But it's a lot. It's just, it could be like 30 years. I had these dues, but I never would have thought that I was experimented upon. I never would have thought that, it was the V2K that when you experience it, it's just somebody screwing with you. It's not your own mind and this and that. But for people who haven't heard of it or believe that our government would do this, even after COVID, even after being told don't do it, they do it anyway. To release a deadly, just killer of this coronavirus, and then make money off its vaccine. This is the national, NIH and the funding, and then lying about the funding. And then when it comes to FOIA request, they change the spelling of somebody's name or a word like coronavirus. And instead of the S in coronavirus, they'll put like a $sign where it's still an S, but it's got these lines in it. So that, there wasn't anything in our FOIAs, because they forgot to, when they asked for the FOIA information, the coronavirus didn't have the $sign. So it's not officially about coronavirus $S. Literally the S is not a regular S. It's a $sign. The S with a 2, and so they can technically say it wasn't FOIA. There wasn't the right request. It's pure fuckery. And it doesn't matter if it's in the Catholic world, of the tech people, the colleges that make this technology, or Francis Collins, a Protestant, a wonderful person I always respected, liked for his apologetic books. And then in your small towns, you got people getting paid and covering this up, hoping you kill yourself, hoping that it doesn't get to this point where they know it, they know I know it, still alive. And yet they have this, instead of just telling you the truth and healing you and getting a surgery, whether it's, non-disclosures, finances, paperwork, they'd rather play a game, make up a whole thing of, I looked at this one book by Phillips about the this book right here, The Electromagnetic Revolution and Federal Target Individual Program, Contributing Corporations, Federal Agencies, and it's about fusion centers, the FBI and local police. And there's a lot of books a lot of pages in the bibliography about different books about targeted individuals and this type of technology. And it's page after page. And he did a great job of just books and books. And I want to give him a lot of credit for doing a lot of studying. But I have some underlined and some asterisks by some of them. Because most of these books, now I had my thing since 1987 after a surgery. I get these little, But most of these things at the earliest was like 2013. There was one by Nick Begich, a wonderful, smart, the son of the former senator from Alaska. And I think his son just got elected to go. I forget if it's, became a senator himself, but Nick Begich Jr., and I hope him all the luck because he's going to deal with a lot of swampy people. But a lot of these books are 2009, A New Breed, John Hall's book, was one of the first ones that really, but I think Nick Begich had his book, and it was like one of the first ones about it. But it was really when they started talking about this, I think, was like most of them are like 2011, 2012, or after, especially from 2012 to 2022, 23. There's like a 10-year span of writing books on TI, target individual, comparing it with Havana syndrome. And I think it's because the federal government knew it was really the brain-computer interface and not telling us, just throwing us in and putting an actual, call it crazy or whatever, but nanotechnology or an implant, a directed energy weapon inside our body without, and who's going to think that off first, especially when you're a kid, when you're 14 and don't even have your rights as an adult. And certainly, and it's just like getting hit throughout their nervous system, leaves all these, and literally remote neural monitoring, all this stuff. They treat us less than animals. Even when you have no criminal record, they try to strip away your actual physical emotions to where your emotions are blocked off, so you can barely feel maybe 5% of your normal emotions that you would feel. And they try to change your sense of self towards something wonderful or horrible, and you have very little fluctuation. And but 2025, according to Duncan's book and the Brain Initiative under Obama, and of course with NeuroRights, that's with Raphael Yuste, the NeuroRights, Louis Rowe just started something, founder of the TI Day, August 29th. And we don't know how many there real are as far as guinea pigs or TIs, Havana syndrome people. We don't know. But it's supposed to be a big thing next year. So let's see how much this gang stalking, mind control, that's AK Forward. Him and Duncan don't see eye to eye on stuff. Yeah, I guess he might have passed, and I hope the best, wonderful, sleep well night, a wonderful heaven for him, because he at least tried to It's one of those things where they make the bad technology, like Giordano, but then they try to warn us and say we need to protect the world. So I hope that they keep warning us and letting us know that this battlefield is for our own hearts and minds, and not there's bullets still and warheads, but they're fucking around with innocent people who've done no evil, and even making the nicest, most kindest of us who try to be that way even weaker. They tried not making strong, evil people weaker. They're making the nicest, kindest people with a sense of conscience. They're making us weaker. And that's how fucked up they are. I mean, I am a person who's supposed to feel bad for even saying the F word. They literally try to torture, take away my thinking, confusion, my emotions, pain constantly. And they try to make me even weaker from then on. And these are the people in my own city. Police. Hospital. Like, why? And try to make me look like I'm nuts, and other TIs doing the same thing to them. And all this drain the swamp talk. Well, the swamp's coming for these people too. So I hope you get a conscience. Anyway, I'll talk to the other TIs. It's next year. In a couple months it'll start. So let's hope Trump really does drain them. And then they're going to look around kind of embarrassed. Their face is going to be so red. Talk to you later.